The Andy Griffith Show, 1960 to 1968, holds a special place in the hearts of fans, celebrated for its wholesome depiction of small-town life in Mayberry. Decades after its final episode, the show continues to be a symbol of simpler times and timeless humor. But what happened to the talented cast who brought these iconic characters to life? Now, in 2025, 65 years since its debut, we take a look back at the actors behind the beloved series. Let's uncover their journeys, from career highlights to personal milestones, and see where life has taken them after all these years. Don Knotts, who began portraying Barney Fife in 1960 at the age of 36, quickly became a beloved television figure as the bumbling yet well-meaning deputy sheriff of Mayberry. Barney's antics, driven by overzealousness and a good heart, made him a comedic icon. However, behind the laughter, Don Knotts' personal life was filled with struggles. His first marriage to Catherine Metz ended in 1964 after 17 years, leaving him to raise 2 children alone. Knotts later married Loralee Chuckna in 1974, but that relationship ended in divorce in 1983. Throughout his life, he battled anxiety and insecurities, which affected both his personal and professional life. Despite his fame, Knotts often felt lonely and unfulfilled. His health deteriorated in later years, and after a prolonged battle with lung cancer, he passed away on February 24, 2006, at the age of 81, from complications of pneumonia related to the disease, leaving behind a career marked by both laughter and personal tragedy. Ron Howard, who began playing Opie Taylor in The Andy Griffith Show in 1960 at just 6 years old, portrayed the sweet, curious son of Sheriff Andy Taylor, learning important life lessons under his father's guidance. Growing up in the limelight, Howard faced the harsh realities of being a child star. His parents, Rance and Jean Howard, managed his career, placing immense pressure on him from an early age. Though his acting career was a success, Howard was often burdened by the demands of fame. His transition to directing in later years was a personal triumph, yet the scars of his childhood stardom remained. Howard married Cheryl Alley in 1975, and they had 4 children together, but his early years in Hollywood created a backdrop of emotional challenges. In 2025, at the age of 70, Howard remains a prominent filmmaker, but the complexities of his childhood and the emotional cost of fame are still an enduring part of his journey. Howard McNeir, who took on the role of Floyd Lawson in 1961 at the age of 56, became known for his charming portrayal of Mayberry's gossipy, chatty barber. While Floyd brought light-hearted humor to the show, McNeir's personal life was filled with more somber realities. In 1967, he suffered a debilitating stroke that severely impacted his ability to work and speak. His once thriving career in Hollywood was effectively put on hold as he faced the challenge of recovery, and his acting opportunities dwindled. McNeir continued to make limited appearances on The Andy Griffith Show, though his health never fully recovered. His personal struggles, compounded by the stroke, cast a shadow over his life. He passed away on January 3, 1969, at the age of 63 from complications related to the stroke, marking the untimely end of a promising career that had been tragically interrupted by health issues. Frances Bavier, who portrayed Aunt B. Taylor in The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1960 at the age of 58, became one of television's most beloved maternal figures, offering warmth and care to Andy and Opie. However, Bavier's personal life stood in stark contrast to the nurturing character she played. She never married, and her life was largely marked by isolation and loneliness. Bavier's reclusive nature and difficulty in forming close relationships made her a somewhat tragic figure off-screen. After the show ended, she retreated further from the public eye, struggling with depression and emotional withdrawal. Despite her fame, she never seemed to find true happiness or personal fulfillment. Bavier passed away on December 6, 1989, at the age of 86 from heart failure, spending her final years in solitude, which stood in sharp contrast to the loving, supportive aunt she portrayed on television. George Lindsay, who began his role as Goober Pyle in 1964 at the age of 36, brought a lovable, albeit simple, mechanic to life. Goober's goofy personality and good-natured spirit made him a fan favorite, but George Lindsay's real life was marked by emotional hardship. His first marriage to Joanne in 1961 ended in 1974 after more than a decade, and the couple had no children. Despite his success as Goober, Lindsay's post-Mayberry career never reached the same level of acclaim, leaving him struggling to find his place in Hollywood. His later years were defined by loneliness and a growing sense of isolation. As his health declined, George faced increasing challenges. He passed away on May 6, 2012, at the age of 83, from heart failure, a poignant end to a life that had been marked by both professional achievement and personal sorrow. Andy Griffith, who played Sheriff Andy Taylor in The Andy Griffith Show beginning in 1960 at the age of 34, became the heart and soul of Mayberry, portraying a wise, patient, and compassionate small-town sheriff. While his character embodied strength and serenity, Griffith's real life was filled with emotional turmoil. His first marriage to Barbara Bray Edwards, which lasted 23 years, ended in 1972, and his second marriage to Salika Kasuto in 1973 also ended in divorce in 1981. Griffith's personal tragedies were compounded by the death of his only son, Andy Griffith Jr., who died in 1996 from a drug overdose. Griffith struggled with alcohol abuse for years, and while his career continued to flourish, his emotional battles were a constant presence. Despite achieving iconic status in television and film, Griffith faced deep personal sorrow. He passed away on July 3, 2012, at 86 due to a heart attack, leaving behind a legacy marked by both professional triumphs and painful personal experiences. Annette Coates, who played Helen Crump in The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1963 at the age of 30, portrayed the intelligent and warm-hearted schoolteacher, a role that made her beloved by fans. Helen became the love interest of Andy Taylor, embodying a sense of stability and moral integrity. In contrast, Annette's personal life was marked by loneliness and heartache. She never married and had no children, although she had a brief romantic involvement with her co-star Jim Nabors. Despite her career success, Annette struggled with emotional isolation, always yearning for the family life she never had. Her health took a tragic turn in her later years when she was diagnosed with cancer, which she fought bravely until her death on November 6, 1995, at the age of 62. Her passing from cancer was a sorrowful end to a life that, despite her professional accomplishments, was filled with personal longing and unfulfilled dreams. Hal Smith, who portrayed Otis Campbell, the lovable but often drunk character on The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1960 at 44, brought his character's comic charm to life, yet his real life was full of turmoil. Despite his success, Hal's personal life was marred by a series of disappointments. His first marriage ended in divorce, and although he remarried later, happiness seemed elusive. His struggles with alcoholism mirrored his character's battles, leading to feelings of isolation and emotional strain. In his later years, Hal battled severe depression and the loss of friends and colleagues. His declining health, compounded by his struggles with alcohol, led to a fatal heart attack on January 28, 1994, at the age of 77. Hal's death was a sorrowful conclusion to a life full of comedic success but overshadowed by personal demons. Jack Dodson, who began playing Howard Sprague in The Andy Griffith Show in 1966 at 35, brought to life a character who was well-meaning but socially awkward, providing comic relief to the show. Off-screen, Jack's life was much less joyful. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his second marriage to actress Jane Dodson also faced significant difficulties. The emotional struggles and tensions in his personal life mirrored the awkwardness of his character, and despite his acting skills, Jack's career never reached the heights he might have hoped for. In his later years, Jack faced serious health issues, particularly heart problems, which he kept private. Tragically, on September 16, 1994, at the age of 63, Jack passed away from heart failure. His death marked the end of a career that was defined by comedic roles but overshadowed by personal struggles. His life was cut short by the very health issues he had worked so hard to hide. Betty Lynn, who portrayed Thelma Lou starting in 1961, was 35 when she began playing the role of Barney Fife's devoted and patient girlfriend. Thelma Lou was a sweet, caring woman who loved Barney despite his flaws, offering him unwavering support. Off-screen, however, Betty Lynn's life was marked by heartache. She married actor Don Russell in the early years of her career, but the marriage ended in a painful divorce, leaving Lynn with no children and a lingering sense of unfulfillment. As her career began to wane, she faced financial struggles, which compounded her sense of loneliness. In her later years, she lived a quieter life, far from the public eye, and spent much of her time reflecting on the life she had hoped for but never fully realized. Betty Lynn passed away on October 16, 2021, at the age of 95, following a brief illness. Her death came after a lifetime of personal and professional challenges. Hope Summers, who played Clara Edwards on The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1961, was 59 years old when she first appeared on the show. Clara, Aunt Bee's gossipy yet good-natured friend, brought a sense of warmth and humor to the series, often getting involved in local events and community activities. However, Summers' personal life was a stark contrast to the lively character she portrayed. Despite several relationships throughout her life, she never married, and her inability to find lasting love left her with feelings of isolation. In her later years, Summers struggled with various health issues, and her loneliness grew more pronounced as her career slowed down. She passed away on June 22, 1979, at the age of 77 due to heart failure. The end of her life, marked by poor health and solitude, reflected a tragic irony, as the actress who portrayed such a vibrant character was left with few to comfort her in her final days. Paul Hartman, who portrayed Emmett Clark on The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1967 at the age of 63, was beloved for his portrayal of the kind-hearted, absent-minded fix-it shop owner in Mayberry. His character's warmth and willingness to help others made him a staple of the show's charm. However, Hartman's personal life was far more complicated. Despite his on-screen persona, his marriage ended in a painful separation, and he was left to cope with the emotional and financial tolls that came with it. The loss of his only son was a devastating blow, and he struggled with poor health that contributed to his emotional decline. By 1973, Hartman's health had worsened, and he passed away from a heart attack on October 2, 1973, at the age of 69. His death came too soon, leaving behind a man who had experienced much personal grief despite the affection he garnered through his work. Jim Nabors, who became a beloved figure as Gomer Pyle on The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1962, was 32 when he began playing the simple, good-natured gas station attendant. Gomer Pyle's catchphrase "Golly" became iconic, and Nabors' portrayal of the character earned him the affection of viewers. However, Nabors' personal life was far more complicated than the character he portrayed. Raised in a time when being openly gay was considered taboo, Nabors kept his sexuality a secret for most of his life, which led to years of internal conflict and loneliness. Despite finding happiness later in life with his partner Stan Cadwallader, his earlier years were marked by isolation and the constant pressure of maintaining his wholesome public image. Additionally, Nabors faced health challenges, including a long battle with respiratory issues. He passed away on November 30, 2017, at the age of 87, from natural causes. Bert Mustin, who portrayed Judd Fletcher in The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1960 at the age of 76, was loved for his portrayal of the cantankerous yet endearing town elder. Known for his dry wit and humorous presence, Mustin's character brought lightness to the show. Yet, his real life was marked by personal loss and hardship. Mustin endured the heartbreaking death of his first wife, a trauma that lingered in his heart. His second marriage also faced significant difficulties, and the devastating loss of his only child in a tragic car accident left him emotionally shattered. Mustin's grief and solitude were compounded by the demands of his career, leaving him to face his later years in quiet anguish. Bert Mustin passed away on January 28, 1977, at the age of 92, from natural causes. His life, despite his success in front of the camera, was marred by deep personal sorrow and loss. Mary Lansing, who began portraying Martha Clark on The Andy Griffith Show in 1962 at the age of 51, was known for her role as the loving and supportive wife of Emmett Clark. On screen, Martha's steady and nurturing character balanced out her husband's forgetfulness, creating a stable foundation in their relationship. However, Lansing's off-screen life was filled with emotional turmoil. She went through a difficult divorce in the early 1970s, which left her feeling isolated and emotionally drained. Though she tried to continue her acting career, personal grief and depression overshadowed much of her life. She also experienced a sense of loneliness that seemed to deepen in her later years, as her public life faded into obscurity. Mary Lansing passed away on September 30, 1988, at the age of 77, after a life filled with personal struggles and quiet heartache, her cause of death undisclosed. Richard Keith, who portrayed Johnny Paul Jason starting in 1962 at the age of 12, was a youthful presence on The Andy Griffith Show, playing Opie Taylor's mischievous yet endearing best friend. His character, with his energy and innocent antics, brought humor and lightheartedness to the show. However, the pressures of child stardom were far from easy for Keith, who faced the challenges of growing up in the limelight. As he grew older, Keith found it difficult to maintain a career in acting, and his personal life was often marred by the struggles that many former child stars face, such as fading fame and identity issues. While there are few records of his romantic relationships, Keith's life after the show was largely private. As of 2025, Keith is 75 years old. Although he remains somewhat out of the public eye, his life is a reminder of the fleeting nature of childhood fame and the difficulties that often come after the cameras stop rolling. Robert McQuain, who portrayed Joe Waters starting in 1961 at the age of 27, played a minor role in The Andy Griffith Show as a friendly and supportive member of the Mayberry community. His character was often seen interacting with the main cast, contributing to the small-town atmosphere. Although McQuain was involved in the show during its peak years, his career never gained significant momentum after his role on the series, and he struggled to land notable parts in other productions. McQuain's personal life, which was mostly private, seemed to mirror his career, remaining largely unfulfilled. He was married, but little is known about his family life or whether he had children. McQuain's later years were marked by relative obscurity, and his death on December 26, 1999, at the age of 65, was attributed to undisclosed causes. Despite his brief time on The Andy Griffith Show, McQuain's life is one of quiet struggle, with unrealized potential and a fading legacy. Eleanor Donahue, who portrayed Ellie Walker in The Andy Griffith Show in 1960 at the age of 23, played a smart, independent pharmacist who became Andy Taylor's love interest. Despite her bright and strong-willed character, Eleanor's personal life was marked by struggles. She was married 3 times, with each marriage ending in divorce, and never had children. Her first marriage, to actor Richard Smith, ended after only a few years. Her second and third marriages also faced difficulties, leaving her heartbroken. Professionally, her career peaked early but declined over time, as she never found a role that matched the significance of Ellie Walker. Her later years were filled with a mix of small roles and financial hardships. Now, at 87 years old in 2025, Eleanor lives a quiet life, having weathered the storms of her career and personal life. Her earlier dreams of a thriving career were never fully realized, and her personal life was shaped by the loneliness that followed her divorces. Joseph Crean, who portrayed a townsman in The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1961 at the age of 78, played a background role that was integral to the community of Mayberry. Despite his long career in Hollywood, Crean was largely a supporting player, often appearing in minor roles that went largely unnoticed by the public. While his contributions to the show were important, his personal life and career were marked by obscurity. After a lifetime of supporting roles, Crean's later years were clouded by health problems. In 1966, just a few years after his time on The Andy Griffith Show, he passed away at the age of 82 from a stroke. His death marked the end of a career that, despite its longevity, was filled with small, uncelebrated roles. McQuain's life reflects the struggle of many older actors who spent decades in Hollywood without achieving the recognition or fame they may have hoped for. Joseph Hamilton, who portrayed Chester Jones beginning in 1961, was 62 years old when he first appeared on The Andy Griffith Show. Chester was a minor but likable character, often offering a friendly and helpful presence in the Mayberry community. His role was unassuming, and Hamilton's career remained relatively low profile, far from the widespread fame of his co-stars. In his personal life, Hamilton struggled with a lack of recognition and his marriage faced difficulties, with limited details available about his family life. He passed away on February 20, 1965, at the age of 66, under undisclosed circumstances, leaving behind a legacy that was far less celebrated than the characters he portrayed. His death was a quiet and unnoticed one, adding to the sense of missed opportunity and sadness that marked his life. Jack Burns, who joined the Andy Griffith Show in 1965 at 32, portrayed the eager but bumbling Deputy Warren Ferguson, bringing a comedic yet often troubled character to life. Jack's career was marked by both creative success and personal struggles. He was a writer for the Andy Griffith Show before taking on the role of Deputy Ferguson, and his comedic talents were also showcased on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. However, his personal life was full of misfortune. His first marriage ended in a bitter divorce, and his second marriage faced similar difficulties, ultimately falling apart. While his career had notable moments, he never reached the level of success he hoped for. As Jack aged, his health began to decline, and he dealt with significant physical challenges. He passed away on January 27, 2020, at the age of 86 from natural causes. His later years were marked by solitude, and the struggles of his personal life often overshadowed his professional achievements. Dick Elliot, who portrayed Mayor Pike in the Andy Griffith Show in 1960 at the age of 74, was beloved for his role as the well-meaning but often bumbling mayor of Mayberry. While his character was warm and relatable, Dick's personal life was overshadowed by health issues and emotional struggles. He was married to actress Doris Lentz, but their marriage faced many challenges. In his later years, Dick's health took a toll, particularly from severe cardiovascular disease. His career, which included significant theater and film work, didn't offer the kind of solace he might have hoped for in his declining health. Dick passed away on December 22, 1961, at the age of 75 due to complications from his heart disease, leaving behind a legacy of kindness and humor, though his personal struggles with illness and emotional hardship defined much of his final years. Alan Melvin, who took on the role of Clarence Doc Malloy in 1962, was 39 years old when he became part of the Andy Griffith Show. Doc Malloy was known for his humor and lively presence, providing some comedic relief amidst the more serious moments of the show. Melvin had a long and successful career, appearing in multiple iconic television series, but his personal life was fraught with difficulties. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his second marriage, while lasting longer, also faced hardships. Melvin struggled with his health in his later years, ultimately being diagnosed with cancer, which greatly affected his quality of life. He passed away on January 17, 2008, at the age of 84, after a prolonged battle with the disease. His death, marked by his health struggles, was a poignant reminder that behind the laughter he brought to television, Melvin faced significant personal battles. Roy Engel, who portrayed a townsman in the Andy Griffith Show starting in 1962 at the age of 49, was one of the many minor but consistent characters in Mayberry. His role, though often in the background, provided a sense of continuity in the small town. Despite his steady presence, Roy's career was mostly limited to uncredited and background roles. While he acted for decades, he never achieved the fame of his co-stars. His personal life mirrored his career struggles, marked by 2 failed marriages and a lack of children. Roy faced financial difficulties, and his later years were filled with a sense of unfulfilled potential. He passed away on December 29, 1980, at the age of 67 due to undisclosed causes. His death came quietly, representing a life that, despite its persistence, was largely unremarkable and filled with personal hardships. Maggie Peterson, who portrayed Charlene Darling Wash in The Andy Griffith Show beginning in 1963 at the age of 22, brought a sweet and endearing energy to her role as the Darling family's daughter, with a special talent for music. However, her real life was fraught with personal challenges. She married young, but her first marriage ended in a painful divorce, leaving her to contend with emotional scars. Her career, which started with promise, began to fizzle as she struggled to find consistent work in Hollywood. Maggie's personal and financial difficulties continued for many years, despite the joy she brought to fans through her role on the show. As she grew older, Maggie continued to deal with emotional isolation and the bitterness of unfulfilled dreams. Maggie Peterson passed away on May 15, 2022, at the age of 81, after living a life marked by both public affection and private pain, leaving behind a legacy of resilience in the face of adversity. Sheldon Collins, who played Arnold Bailey in 1966, was just 11 years old when he took on the role of Opie's mischievous friend. Arnold was full of youthful energy, often getting into playful trouble alongside Opie, providing light-hearted moments on the show. However, Collins' career after The Andy Griffith Show did not match the promise of his early years. Struggling with the transition from child star to adult actor, he found it difficult to sustain a lasting career in Hollywood. His personal life, while kept mostly private, seemed to mirror the difficulties he faced in his professional life. As of 2025, Collins is 69 years old, and while details of his current life are scarce, it's clear that the challenges of child stardom took their toll. His life, though largely out of the public eye, serves as a reminder of the harsh realities of fame at a young age. Dennis Rush, who played Howie Pruitt in The Andy Griffith Show in 1963 at the age of 12, was a lively and spirited character who became one of Opie Taylor's closest friends. Howie's antics provided comic relief, embodying youthful innocence and playful mischief. After his time on the show, Dennis struggled to build on his early fame, and his career remained limited to small roles. He faced difficulties transitioning into adult roles, and his later years were marked by financial and emotional struggles. Dennis was married twice, but both relationships ended in divorce, and he never had children. Despite his youthful fame, Dennis found himself living a more quiet and unfulfilled life as an adult, disconnected from the Hollywood scene. As of 2025, at 73 years old, Dennis remains out of the spotlight, reflecting on a promising start that never quite reached its full potential. Parley Baer, who portrayed Mayor Roy Stoner starting in 1962, was 48 years old when he began his role. Mayor Stoner was the stern, no-nonsense mayor of Mayberry, often seen trying to maintain order amidst the show's light-hearted chaos. Although Baer had a steady career in television, he was often typecast in similar roles, which limited his opportunities for more substantial parts. His personal life was marked by a troubled marriage that ended in divorce, and he never remarried. Baer was deeply affected by the breakdown of his family life and lived the later years of his life in relative solitude, battling feelings of loneliness and frustration. He passed away on November 22, 2002, at the age of 88 due to complications from a stroke, a quiet end after a career filled with personal and professional struggles, often overlooked by the industry. Howard Morris, who played the eccentric Ernest T. Bass in The Andy Griffith Show in 1963 at the age of 44, brought an unforgettable, wild energy to the show. Known for his impulsive behavior and comically failed attempts at wooing women, Ernest T. Bass was both a memorable and tragic character. Off-screen, Howard's career had its ups and downs, with sporadic success in acting and directing. He faced personal difficulties, including a difficult marriage that ended in divorce and strained family relations. His later years were marred by health problems, particularly heart issues, which led to his death on May 21, 2005, at the age of 85. Though his death was the culmination of many years of health challenges, Howard is remembered for his unique contributions to television and comedy. Denver Pyle, who portrayed Briscoe Darling starting in 1963, was 43 years old when he began playing the tough but loving patriarch of the Darling family. Pyle's deep voice and commanding presence made him a memorable figure, yet his career outside the Andy Griffith Show was inconsistent. Although he had numerous roles in both film and television, Pyle struggled with typecasting and often felt unappreciated by the industry. In his personal life, he faced significant hardships, including a failed marriage that ended in divorce, and his second marriage was troubled, leading to additional emotional pain. As he grew older, Pyle's life was overshadowed by the onset of lung cancer, which took a toll on his physical and mental well-being. He passed away on December 25, 1997, at the age of 77, after a courageous battle with the illness. His death marked the end of a career that had once promised more, leaving behind a legacy of both love for his family and personal battles that he could never fully overcome. Charles Thompson, who played Asa Breeny in 1962, was 71 years old when he began his role. Asa was a minor but memorable character, known for his humorous quirks and his ability to bring levity to the scenes. While Thompson's role on The Andy Griffith Show gave him recognition, his career didn't experience the longevity he had hoped for. He struggled to secure significant roles after the show ended, and his personal life mirrored these disappointments. Thompson had 2 marriages, both of which ended in divorce, and despite his best efforts, he couldn't maintain the happiness he sought in his private life. He faced personal challenges as he grew older, including financial difficulties and health concerns. He passed away on October 26, 1979, at the age of 88, due to natural causes. Despite living a long life, Thompson's years were filled with unfulfilled dreams, and his legacy remained a mixture of fleeting fame and personal sorrow. Forrest Lewis, who played the angry man on The Andy Griffith Show starting in 1960 at the age of 61, was best known for his comically grumpy character, whose outbursts added a touch of humor to the show. Off-screen, however, his life was filled with personal struggles. Lewis experienced a painful divorce that left him emotionally scarred, and his relationships with family members were strained in the aftermath. Despite his success on television, Forrest's later years were marked by financial troubles, which were exacerbated by a series of strokes that compromised his health. These health issues led to his eventual death on June 2, 1977, at the age of 77. While he remained beloved for his role on The Andy Griffith Show, his final years were marred by sadness and isolation, leaving a bittersweet legacy of both laughter and hardship. Who is your favorite character from The Andy Griffith Show? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.